Thank you very much for that question. I think that's really very, very, very relevant. And I want to I'm glad you asked that question because I want to clarify. According to me, integrated medicine is not a homeopath practicing allopathy. No. Integrated medicine is not an Ayurvedic doctor practicing, allopathy. Integrated medicine is different forms of medicine at one level, in one plane, in one area, at one level, so that people can choose. And that's the first kind of thing that I want to bring. Now, coming back to your question on how do we practice it at Dr. Batra's? First of all, we've introduced a lot of aesthetic treatments for hair and skin. We use homeopathy as the base, but we use the most modern technology, including lasers, including everything else, to actually activate the skin and hair and to get better results. So that's an example of integrated medicine in that sense, using the best in terms of technology. We're also using artificial intelligence, and we're also using machine learning. And therefore, from the 15 lakh patients that we have, we can actually pick up what worked for somebody 10 years ago. And therefore, all future patients can benefit from that information. So this really is, as far as this goes. But coming to another example at Dr. Batra's, is for the last 16 years, we've been part of the KIMS Hospital in Bahrain. Okay. And we have a Dr. Batra's division over there, which is like half a floor. And therefore, anybody who needs to be treated by an NCD or a chronic problem comes to Dr. Batra's for homeopathy. And the hospital runs like normal. Yeah, fair enough. Okay, we've also experimented with a very strong, very orthodontic pediatric clinic in Dubai. And for many years, we partnered with them. So we had a Dr. Batra's clinic in clinic model, wherein we found that children who were coming, they were mouth breathers because of the alignment of teeth that they had tonsillitis, they had adenoids. And we could treat this through homeopathy very effectively. So that's another example of integrated medicine. We also partnered with a very large bariatric clinic in India. And we found that a lot of bariatric patients who undergo bariatric surgery actually suffered from anxiety and guilt feeling. Because post that, when they started eating and getting back to normal, there was a challenge. Yeah. So again, we used homeopathy to do that. Okay. And even currently, we are partnered with one of the largest IVF clinics in the world, which is in Greece. So people who can't conceive, and we want to give them natural options, we use homeopathy for that. So I think this kind of answers your question.
Just for people who don't know what is integrated medicine, it's different forms of medicine which coexist, something like a yoga or an acupuncture or even nutrition, therapy, all these forms which coexist with other forms of medicine. So what do you do in Himalayas for the same?
Sure, thanks for having me here. I think just taking forward Dr. Batra's point, it boils down to eventually personalization, right? And Ayurveda has been, advocating personalization for hundreds of years now, right? Whether it is Vat, Pitta, Kapha, or whether it is Prakriti. I mean, it's all about how do we really integrate with what we have as medicines to offer and what the symptoms of patients are and what the inherent genomics is again something we'll discuss a little later. But it's all about integrating what the symptoms are with not just conventional medicine, but also with, Ayurveda. To just build further on that, I think there is one point that Ayurveda has been doing for a while now is to provide a lot of clinical evidence to conventional medicines for wider acceptance. And that's what we do at Himalaya. Because I think it's for integrated medicines to work, right? It's important that all forms, whether it is homeopathy, Ayurveda, or conventional medicine, we all come together and provide maximum clinical evidence. We have a brand called Live 52, right, which is for liver care. And we have more than 250 clinical trials that we have provided, tying up with national, international universities, so that there is larger and wider acceptance. And it is widely accepted by not just, conventional doctors or not just Ayurveda, but across. As we speak, every second there is a Live 52 being bought by a patient. So our job really at Himalaya is to provide more and more data to the real world so that there is wider acceptance and both can synergize and coexist.
Actually, from my point of view, I'll also share. So I run this company called Iyurved, and I'm approached by parents, for example, children who have speech delay. Now, when they come to me for nutrition, for brain development, they've already been, at the same time, they're going to the doctor, they're going to a therapist, they're going to a yoga practitioner to help with some breathing technique. So there does exist, and I think people today understand that all of this together has to coexist. You cannot just survive on one. You have any inputs there?
So I think all of you are very right? And we would just have seen the Lancet study which came with ICMR. Unfortunately, India today has become like a diabetes or a chronic care capital. If you just look at all these lifestyle conditions, be it diabetes, hypertension, clinical obesity, we are like 230, 240 million people in India who are suffering, and these are just the diagnosed cases. I'm sure there will be at least 50% more who are not even diagnosed. And if you look at that today and understand what is the solution out there in the market today, generally people say go to a doctor and start taking some form of medicine. It can be sulfonylurea, it can be DP4, anything of that sort, right? But that is where the problem lies also, because you cannot solve these lifestyle chronic care conditions just by medicine. It has to be an integrated approach. And all of them are talking about Iyurved. What we do there is you kind of integrate a doctor. So doctor is a core part of your solution, because end of the day, a clinical person is the one who is going to kind of titrate your medicine. But you need a nutritionist, because food, the root cause of diabetes is insulin resistance, and that can only be solved if you are eating the right food. And like Dr. Batra was saying, right, there are 84,000 or something combinations. I believe every person is a different combination. All the 7-8 billion people who are out there in the world today, like our fingerprints, everyone has a very, very different metabolism. Rice can suit me, cannot suit you. It can have a very different impact on different people. So you need to figure out what is your body type, how is your body made up of, what are the reactions that your body will have if you eat a certain kind of food. That is just one part of it. The other is fitness, which is very, very important, which we kind of ignore it today, right? We say that, okay, fitness, gym kaun jayega. But that 30 minutes a day can bring in a lot of difference in your life, which you might not even understand on day 1, but day 30 you will start seeing the impact. The third thing, unfortunately, which is again missed in India, is your mental health. Like Dr. Batra was again saying, and I keep quoting him because of the presentation, where he was saying that anxiety, depression is something that can lead to a lot of other conditions. Correct. So when you look at diabetes also, I'll not say maybe clinical anxiety, but if you look at, say, diabetes distress score, DDS score, I'll say 60-70% of India who is diabetic today will have some form of distress. It can be emotional, it can be related to a physician, it can be related to your family member, it can be related to your relationship. And that has to be kind of caught early and then solved for. Unless you solve all these parameters, your medicine, your nutrition, your fitness, your mental well-being, you'll not be able to really solve for the chronic conditions which exist today. And that is the right approach that we'll have to take going forward.
Yeah, I think you touched upon prevention.
Yeah.
Why cure when you can prevent?
Exactly. And see, these are, sorry, I'll just take maybe 5-10 seconds. And these are the conditions, while a lot of people believe ki genetic hai, that is also true, but these are the conditions that you can prevent. Yeah. The moment you find out you are, say, pre-diabetic, if your HbA1c levels, and one important thing you'll all have to kind of get yourself tested every 3 months, every 6 months. The moment you find your HbA1c values are high, it's say 5.4, 5.5, 5.6, why wait for it to go to 6.5 and then, start visiting a diabetologist and then create a panic that I'm diabetic ho gaya, now I'm diabetic for my whole life. When you can prevent it using the right approach, and that is the right way of living your life as well, right? That is what our forefathers have been doing, right? Sleeping at 10 o'clock and having early dinner or eating the right food. All of us have desserts at the end of the food. We don't start with dessert, but there is a science of meal sequencing which comes there, right? You start with your fibers, then you go to your proteins, then you go to your carbs, and then you enjoy your dessert. That is how it has been built, and if we just start following these simple things, I think lifestyle condition, while today is 230-240 million, can be brought down easily.
Yeah.
I'll just add to that. Since we spoke of lifestyle and genetics, I think there is a saying that as far as human health or body is concerned, genetics is what loads the gun. Lifestyle is what pulls the trigger, right? So I think there is a lot that can be done by controlling or having the right lifestyle. Sure. I mean, there is nothing that you can do with the gun. That's the body that we have. We have those genetics, but you can do a lot to prevent the trigger in terms of lifestyle, in terms of some of those diseases, like we just heard, that if you're a pre-diabetic, I mean, you can change a lot. And today we are, hearing so much about even reversal of diabetes with lifestyle. Absolutely. Right? So there is so much to practice in terms of, integrated medicine and lifestyle.
I think both of you touched a lot on data, and I'm very excited to know, because that data science, a lot of AI, Dr. Batra, you're using some AI for skin, I understand. So what is it that you're doing exactly? How do you use that data? And how does it really result in prevention or, early catching of something that can happen?
So I'd like to divide this into two separate parts, and I don't want to take too much time because I already spoke, and I want to give the other panelists a chance to speak. So I'll be very brief. So the first part is that we have a data of 15 lakh patients, and we have the entire medical data. It's not just the medical data. We also have what are the occupations, we have the age group, we have the genders, we also have whether they are stressed out, whether they are not, whether they have social factors or whether they have personal factors, and all of that, the entire ecosystem is in the system. Therefore, what happens is, what machine learning does is, it goes back and it finds that if there's a patient, for example, who had psoriasis, a very common skin problem, and if that patient was irritable, snappish, and it was worse in winter, and he therefore became all right with medicine X, when the next patient who comes will first be given medicine X.
Okay.
So that whole trial period of so many years is kind of cut short. So this is what we do for machine learning. As far as artificial intelligence is concerned, we have just imported a machine for the first time in India from South Korea.
Okay.
What it does, it looks at your skin and it analyzes 11 things even below the skin. So it goes into the dermis, epidermis, everything else. And it can actually tell you 5 years before you actually get wrinkles or aging or, and not only that, it's actually quite complicated. And so we've kind of integrated to our own software and our own ERP systems that we have. And that's taken us quite some time. And what it does, therefore, is it actually then tells you what are the areas that should be worked on. It tells you, for example, the sebum or the oiliness of the skin is more, say, in the T-zone or on the cheeks. And therefore, that's the area which needs specific thing. It will also find out for you which are the Dr. Batra's products that you can use, which are bespoke only for you because of your kind of skin. And it will also kind of lead you to the kind of therapy or the treatment that you should use.
Yeah. So AI is actually very interesting. I think this was the first time when I did not go for my regular full body checkup. I actually went for AI screening, just to know what is going to happen down the line. So, anything, yeah.
Like Dr. Batra was saying, right, that he kind of creates segments of people and then figures out that what will work for you. What I personally believe, and that might be the right way, what I believe is, like I said, it has to be personalized to the nth level. It has to be for you. It cannot be that someone like you got this benefit, so you also might get it. So what we do, and like you rightly said, right, data is the one which is at the center of everything today. Unless you really figure out how is your body reacting to different things, it can just be like you go to a nutritionist and he'll put you on a keto diet that ठीक है carb मत खाओ, protein ज़्यादा खाओ, fat ज़्यादा खाओ. That also works 90% of the times. But unless you really figure out ki what is the real impact of certain food on my body. For example, if I had rice. Now rice is not bad for everyone. If I have rice, say after doing my workout in the afternoon at 1 o'clock, maybe it will not even spike my sugar level because my body needs carb at that point of time. But the same rice can become really bad if I have it at 12 o'clock in the night as my dinner and then I go to sleep right after that. Yeah. So rice is not the culprit. The culprit is the timing. The culprit is the quantity. The culprit is the other things that you are eating. And how do you find out all that unless you get real-time data coming from that person?
So how do you make this personalized data more available?
Yeah. So multiple technologies. So today the device that we use is called as CGM. It's a continuous glucose monitor. It's a device that, and I'm wearing it right now, you can just put it at the back of your hand. And automatically the data keeps coming on your phone. Every 15 minutes without you doing anything, it's scanning your blood glucose level from your interstitial fluid and kind of sending it on your phone. Now once you see the uses of data is two-way. One, to kind of give you a personalized plan, that is the core benefit. But number two benefit is kind of give you that accountability. So that next time when you are going to eat that cake in the night, 12 o'clock, you know कि यार रात में मेरा sugar level बढ़ जाएगा. I might not like it. That is the second advantage, and that is much better than giving you an actual plan कि you should not eat this, you should not eat that. Because end of the day, see, you will have to do things on your own, right? There can be someone who is guiding you, motivating you. But if I can show you the real picture of your body day in, day out, you will become more sincere, you will become more disciplined. And that is how we use data in that way.
Anything you do, Vikas, in the area of personalization, not as such, but AI or maybe gadgets? I think what I want to understand is you're spread across the country, actually the world, right? How do you reach that person living in a village who's going through exactly the same problem? How does he afford all this information? How do you solve it at that level?
great point. So I think, yes, you're right. I mean, today Himalaya, we are present in more than 100 countries, and in India extensively available. I think while there are gadgets available and while, personalization is the norm, I think one thing that we are trying to do is also simplify a lot of stuff. And I'll give you an example. When you talk of conventional therapies, there are a lot of combinations available, I mean, in fixed drugs and others. And today the world is realizing that maybe most of them are not required, or most of them are in fact getting banned in a lot of countries. To keep it simple, we have a range of pure herbs that is, I mean, more than 27 of them, so that in every herb, personalization is encouraged more and more. I mean, doctors can dissect what the patient really wants. There are choices available, and our distribution today, we are reaching out to about 500,000 doctors. We are present in as many outlets across. So we are doing a bit to ensure that the purest form of herbs are made available at an affordable price to the consumer in tier 2, tier 3 towns. And that's how we are supporting the cause of integrated medicines.
Yeah. So do you want to add something, or I'm getting...
That's it. I think the ticker is going. So, no, I think one thing that we should all...
started it, you should close it.
All right. So I think the only thing I'd like to say is that personalized medicine, yes, of course. I mean, we're all for it. And that's where the world is moving. But I think the bigger problem today is that people want health to be governed, and they don't want to self-govern it.
Yeah.
And I think that's, my strongest closing message for everybody. That, we have mothers who come and say, please tell my child not to eat ice cream, not to eat lollipops. But you're the mother, why can't you tell? But my child doesn't listen to me. So it's really about implementation, it's about discipline, it's about determination, the 2 Ds that I always say for health, which are very important. And really, I think, ultimately, the onus of good health lies on us.
Yeah.
And that's it begins with the individual, and it ends with the individual.
Very true.
And which is also why the treatment also has to be individual.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. This was really insightful. I will be very happy to come and connect with all of you and work closely with you. Yeah. Thank you, guys.